Next, we have land use. I'm the chairman, Roger Nutt, amendments and members. First item is receive information, take desired action on reference to the upstate air quality resolution, which is included in our packet. And we have Rizzo Duncan, a sustainability planner from Spartanburg County, and also the air transportation study here to present. How are you today?
I'm very well.
All right.
So I work for the planning department here, and I appreciate your time and attention to air quality today. As you probably know, Spartanburg County has been on the brink of EPA sanctions for air quality for more than 10 years, and this is a problem that must be addressed regionally. I'm a member of the Upstate Air Quality Committee, which has concluded that it would be best to get everyone in the upstate, counties, municipalities, businesses, and the public, on the same page about air. One way we are doing this is to get each county to sign a resolution, the one that sits before you. This resolution states that you acknowledge that EPA reviews and usually revises air quality standards every 5 years, and as an important aside, in the past they've made standards more stringent than each revision, and that you recognize that improving air quality and maintaining clean air that is in attainment of the EPA standards is critical to both the physical health of upstate residents and the economic vitality of the region, and that you support the development, implementation, and maintenance of upstate air quality strategy and clean air upstate initiative. Currently, the plan and initiative are for education and outreach efforts, as well as for identifying the specific actions that the county can implement. For your information, the identified specific actions that may be implemented are included in your packet. In closing, we are requesting your approval on the upstate air quality resolution. Again, thank you for your time. Do you have any questions?
Can you just hit on maybe a few of the highlights for the public, since they don't have this?
In the particular resolution?
Just some of your strategies is what I was.
Oh, strategy.
Yeah.
One example of a strategy is called the Breathe Better program, and it's something that actually some of the schools in Spartanburg County are already doing. It's a program by SCDS, and it is basically has students going out in the car lines when parents come to pick the children up, and in the beginning of the program they record how many cars are idling. Then they post signs that say, please don't idle. And then the students go back out and record how many cars are not idling as a result of the signs going up. So DHEC in the past has provided materials for those schools, but that's one example of something that can be implemented.
On that chart in here around ozone levels, county a little bit dropped. Substantially in 09, is that because of economic, not as many automobiles?
I mean, we don't know for sure, but that's what people think. Transportation is a big part of it.
Really?
So.
I know we've been on the bubble for a long, long time still.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I know we had information presented in the past, I don't know if you know, in relations to EPA sanctions. I think you mentioned that. Richland County was one of the last ones, I think, for several $1 million. From this, is Spartanburg in danger of possibly facing some sanctions that if we don't do something to come out of anywhere to affect us in the near future?
Yes, because the standards are revised every 5 years and usually lowered. Even though we have progressively been going down historically with our air quality readings, I mean, our air quality is improving. EPA still strengthens the standards, and what happens is we have to, in transportation, review our projects, make sure that they fit in lowering the air quality, lowering the ozone in the air. If they don't, then we lose money for those particular projects. It might be redirected to other projects. That's one thing that can happen. Another thing that can happen is it takes a long, long time to get economic development projects approved, and it costs money to upgrade the equipment in some manufacturing facilities to meet air quality standards. So yes,
Catherine, you and I had talked about this a little bit, and just for the record, I'm for clean air. I think that Spartanburg County, as an employer, should be doing what it can to educate our employees, and obviously to maintain our fleets, to make sure they're efficient and everything. To try to do our part in reducing air pollution. My problem, as we have talked, is the potential overreach of government trying to get people to do things, taxpayers to do different things in order to clean up the air, such as educational programs, putting up signs in our parking lot to ask people to stop idling their cars and all that. Can you tell me a little bit? I think we had talked about some revisions to this resolution that might be acceptable, just to kind of satisfy some of those concerns.
Councilman, you and I were looking through the clean air resolution. One of the things that I think you have some concern about is the last paragraph where it says, whereas we support the implementation of the green budget program in Spartanburg County and so on. And one of the things that we talked about is perhaps instead of using the word implementation, perhaps council would consider we support the principles of the green budget program in Spartanburg County operation. And some of those include making sure that our fleet is aware of our anti-outgoing policies and to encourage carpooling when we go to meetings and those types of activities that, quite frankly, are cost-saving as well for us. So there's, I too, am going to support a clean air. There's added benefits for cost savings as well. I think what you were asking for is if council could consider an amendment to the resolution that would limit the last paragraph to supporting the principles for operations within Spartanburg County government operations.
Okay, will this take effect also in the upstate air quality action plan and the clean air upstate initiative, and all that basically just pertain to what us as a Spartanburg County employer is kind of pledging to do?
Sure. As Ms. Duncan had pointed out, the clean air resolution that was in the packet, I don't think included that last paragraph.
That's right.
We put it in to try to address some of the Spartanburg County specific implementation objectives. So I would assume that our upstate partners would be fine with understanding that we're supporting the principles of the Green Better Air program, and we'll be supporting those within our own operations. And as you pointed out, also the rest of that paragraph says that additional actions to improve air quality in Spartanburg that only cost the county staff time. If you look at the chart of upstate air quality strategies and actions, these are for, and this time you correct me if I'm wrong, these are for all of the partners in the upstate.
It's a menu of things to choose from.
And we would choose those that don't have a capital expenditure or operating expenditure cost that isn't already included in the budget. If we're going to look at a sustainability program, for example, that has a cost, I think you would point to one about sponsoring or subsidizing ride sharing or park and ride programs for senior county employees. If we were going to consider that, it's the second box down on strategies in the packet on page 1. That would be included in the budget, and council could deliberate whether or not you want to invest in that particular strategy. Any of the strategies on the 5 pages of possible items to select from, we were looking for those that didn't have any additional costs in the county, weren't already budgeted, or that we weren't wanting to propose because they get cost savings for us.
I guess my concerns, and I appreciate that, I appreciate your work on that. I guess my concerns about this pledge is that, I don't think we need a pledge really to Spartanburg County to participate in having clean air as an employer. And with the vagueness of some of the wording here, I think it's probably more detrimental to have a pledge than to just agree that we're going to be clean air activities in our county governments.
I think this is very important. We've been working on it for a number of years, and we came and still We face the possibility from EPA and the Clean Air Act, if we don't meet some of the regulations that are set. We work with the senators, United States senators, congressmen in the upstate. This is an initiative we've been working on for about 5 or 6 years. And it comes to the point that it affects every person in this county, especially when it comes to economic development, opportunities to grow, existing companies to expand. We had 2 today. If we didn't meet the EPA requirements on expansions, they would not be allowed to increase 1 square foot. So it's very important. It's not a feel-good type thing. I think it's important for Spartanburg County to step forward. We're going to ask the citizens of Spartanburg, as well as the companies, to work with us. We need to step forward and do this as well. So I think it's absolutely necessary.
And Councilmember, if I can add that, and Councilman, in response to your concerns, I think that our partners are looking for us to pass this resolution tonight. I know that you have some concerns and have asked for some amendments to clarify the level at which Spartanburg is financially committed to this program. My commitment to you, recognizing that we need to be a partner in this, is that if you have any significant financial expenditures that go along with this implementation, but it'll be part of the budget process, and we'll bring it forward. So we're going to be targeting those that make sense for Spartanburg County, that make sense for us financially. I've had the opportunity to meet with EPA representatives when we've been looking at not being statewide. And I know they're very serious about the sanctions that could be placed against Spartanburg and the other counties in the state. So certainly those areas where we can be supported are very important within council's competence.
I agree with David. We've battled this for a long time. We're actually, the county actually sued years ago some of these issues. We didn't file it. Any other discussion?
I want to say I agree also that it's vitally important. I just don't think we need to pledge in order to participate.
All right. Anything else? Any motion?
Chairman, I move to adopt.
I'll second. All in favor? All opposed? Beginning to carry over. Thank you very much. Thank you. Next we have Susan Rice.
My name is Susan Myers, and I'd like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to come forward and to state our opinions on the things that you're considering. My comments on the clean air resolution. I guess it stems back from being unhappy with a lot of high government control. We're never happy with what our government's doing. But sometimes it seems like it's getting a little bit out of hand. And clean air resolution, I have looked at it, I've gotten a copy of it, and I'm going to just take my points from that because I really think that this should be considered for unintended consequences down the road. That it will cause. It's not potentially going to cause, that it will cause. Now, I have not done the research that you guys have done. And I know from spending a lot of time in Columbia several years ago that you guys spend a lot of time on this. So I do not want to belittle anything that you have done or take away from all the research or try to seem like I do not understand what all of this entails. So, but the resolution says, it says, Environmental Protection Agency as required to review and revise quality standards to ensure. Okay, first off, the environment, if I'm not mistaken, EPA, y'all gonna have to help me. The EPA, are they elected or are they appointed? Members of the EPA. They're appointed, okay? If they're appointed, it's all well and good to agree with the government that's in there.
Now, we're not going to comment, so you comment, it's your time to speak.
Well, I have some, okay, I have questions, but I have questions that I honestly don't know. And was asking, and it says that the EPA would propose actions to finalize the National Ambient Air Quality Standard revisions within the next few years, which, yes, they probably will. And but this goes on to say that whereas the upstate of South Carolina, we recognize that improving air quality and maintaining clean air is the attainment of the NAAQS established by the EPA. And I beg to pardon, I'm not being disrespectful, but how can you recognize that you know for sure that that is what the national air quality standard is doing? This has such long-range potential consequences that you're handing over a lot of authority to people that you really don't know what their intentions are. You assume they want clean air, but you don't know that for a fact. You can recognize that. Now, I haven't had time to research it. If you do know it for a fact, I would like to see that. And then you want to join with other city and county governments, businesses and institutions for the maintenance of upstate air quality action plan and clean air upstate initiative. And you will also be committed to the outreach and education efforts to identifying specific actions that our organization can implement on collaborative efforts to ensure upstate maintains a level of air quality that allows our region to reach its full potential, No, I do not agree with this. I did not know, I picked up my nephew at school, it was 2 or 3 months ago. I did not know why they asked me to turn my car off. Now, they asked me to turn my car. Now I know why they asked me to turn my car off. Now, I am a small business owner. If you gotta stop and think, I've always been told in business management that when you want to get an idea or you want to get an atmosphere across, it starts from the top down. I can go in my business and my ladies can absolutely having the worst day that they have ever had. Some parent that have made them mad, some child could be outraged, and they could just be having the worst day they could ever have. I come in with my attitude, and I could change the entire atmosphere of that entire place. So the work ethic and the enthusiasm and the atmosphere, we all should agree from business management, comes from the top down. Is Bobby Harrell curtailing his plane trips? Is the Congress curtailing their plane trips, but they're asking me to turn off my car while I sit and pick up my child? No. You know what that is? That's bottom up. You ever heard bottom up, inside out? That is bottom up. And no, I would not support that. And if that's what this means, that you're going to support efforts to ask me to turn off my car while I'm picking up my child at school, I think that is absurd. Because nobody else at the top is doing it. What are you doing? What is anyone else doing? We got my notes. I think that's all. That is all that I had. I had some other things, but I got jumbled up those because I wasn't planning on doing this. I really had no intentions of doing this. But I heard 2 reasons why you guys need to adopt this. Number 1, you spend a lot of time on it. Number 2, the EPA is not going to give you any money. I'm sorry, and I respect every one of you for what you do, but that is gutless. Saying that you're not going to do something because the EPA is going to sanction you or not giving you money is just going to turn more power over to the EPA and to our federal government. And I am sorry, gentlemen and ladies, I do not think that is what we want right now. I just think it would not hurt to take a much more in-depth look at something that has real potential to have me turn off my car while I'm picking up my child. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lane.
Hello, Council. My name is Doug Cobb, and I'm here tonight to read a statement from Representative Bill Chumley. Representative Chumley couldn't be here tonight because he's being sworn in Greenville at the county delegation meeting over there. I'm concerned that this resolution being considered today on the air quality is being considered without any input from the taxpayers who will ultimately have to pay the cost of all this added regulation and a new layer of government bureaucracy. Why, at this time when our county council should be focused on ways to save money and streamline our government to be more efficient, our county representatives are spending time trying to implement an agenda that includes such things as a lawnmower exchange program to reduce emissions from gas lawnmowers, as well as trying to get commercial landscapers to switch over to electric mowers. This resolution proposes to promote a no idling program in the parking lot to help reduce emissions, as well as a policy to not use drive-through windows at banks and fast food restaurants. Also included in this resolution is the implementation of remote control thermostats. Another section calls for installing public infrastructure for charging stations for electric vehicles. All of these things cost Spartanburg taxpayers money. When all reputable organizations now recognize all of these ideas and solutions as being part of the now proven hopes of global warming and are moving away from these agendas, why is Spartanburg looking to embrace it? I think that this should be put on hold for now until we can get public input via town hall meeting.
Thank you. Evan?
Yes.
Say your last name. So you have your last
Yeah,
name.
Evan Mulch.
Okay.
Yes. Very good.
Tell me, Mulch, second or Mulch?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for allowing me to speak. And I'm glad there's a lot of kids here today, good young leaders here, because this is a good example of what the government actually does to the people, where they'll try to force them to do certain things based on their own specific beliefs. And they're actually, I think in the future of this, if we do implement this ordinance, there's money that's going to come from the taxpayers to actually implement these strategies that is part of the Clean Air Upstate group that ultimately, if you do your reading, it's ultimately part of the United Nations Agenda 21 strategy. So what a good example it is today to see so many kids here to actually see what people in power actually will do to them. So that's all my time. Thank you so much.
Brown. Next, we have the Land Use Committee. I was chairman. First item is receive information and take desired action in reference to the upstate air quality resolution. This committee in form of a motion brings that to full council.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion?
Got a couple of things I'd like to say real quick. First of all, the people who came and spoke, for it or against it, I don't think there's anybody speaking for it, ones that are against it. Appreciate you taking your time. Ms. Ridings, I think you came, is that right? And there was another gentleman, Evan Mulch. Is he here? You see, that's a good example. He was a young fellow preaching to the other young folks in the audience about how government works. You need to stick around like Ms. Ridings is doing, where you can hear us discuss things. I don't think he was here when we talked about it in the committee report. Ms. Ridings, let me correct one thing that you said, and I think you were directing at me. I didn't say that EPA funds us. We had to pass this to continue our funding. EPA doesn't fund this clean air and doesn't give the county money. What I was saying is we've been working on this problem because the government, federal government, passed a Clean Air Act that we have to follow. They've got monitoring stations. You ask a few questions. How do we know? And you threw out a bunch of stuff. Well, they set up monitoring stations in Spartanburg. They set up monitoring stations in Greenville, in the whole upstate. And there's a threshold that our air has to pass. And this isn't something dreamed up, they got equipment. Now we argued, and Jeff pointed out during our committee meeting, we actually filed a lawsuit because where the monitoring stations were. And we got our government, and we had our United States senators and House members working with us. We got the EPA's attention, and they worked with us to back off some and move the monitoring stations. It's not a choice of whether we want to. It's kind of like the speed limit out on the highway. You know, in 26, it says 70 miles an hour. If you go faster than 70 miles an hour, you stand a chance of getting a ticket. Well, in this case, they got the monitoring stations up. If we don't meet the requirements that they've set, what they do, they say, okay, business and industry in Spartanburg, or in the upstate, not just Spartanburg, you can't expand anymore because your county and the upstate doesn't meet the clean air thresholds. That may not mean anything to you, but the 285,000 people that live in this county and that we're trying to get to move here, just like what we talked about on, even Tiger River and the hospitality, get people to move here. Guess what happens when you don't have jobs? When BMW doesn't invest $1 billion like they did this year in this county,
And no other company can afford, my company included, whether it's a big company, small company, or a 5-person company, I cannot expand my business. I go elsewhere. And when you can't do it in the upstate of South Carolina, you look at Virginia, other places, Florida, wherever you can go. There's a thing, and I remember hearing this a long time ago, it's called coasting. When you start coasting, you're going downhill. And when your companies can't expand and can't offer opportunities, they shut down, they go elsewhere. Someone, I think, Doug, you read a statement from Representative Chumley. Now, if Angela Viney, is she in the audience? If she had been here too, where's Angela? Okay, good. You talked about term limits. I'm going to touch on this. If you take somebody, if they've been around for a long time, they'd have been working on this problem, you would have known better. Talked about having a study committee. We've got a blue ribbon panel made up of Spartanburg County people, not elected officials, not government people, but people who work in business and industry who are committed to this, have spent years and countless hours of their time working to kind of come up with it, well not kind of, to come up with a solution to the problem. Representative Chumley should have known better than that. To write a letter. Well, I didn't, then you can pass along. We have got a blue ribbon panel made up of top-notch people who work at BMW, who work at smaller companies, who are trying to invest, who impact air quality. I mean, this is something that, you think we want to pass any other regulation, but if we don't do it, if we don't step forward and say Spartanburg County, we're not just going to ask business and industry to do this, we're going to do it ourselves. Sitting in a line, and you can shake your head. I didn't shake your head while you were talking. We don't have a choice. This county, we're trying to grow it, make it better, offer opportunity for the young people that were here earlier. We have to do this. It's not, oh, well, we'll just play the game and ignore it. We do it, we kill this county. And the whole upstate. Greenville's in the same boat, Anderson, all 10 counties here. It's something that we have to do and we have to move forward. And that's why I'm going to support it. I don't like any more regulation than I have to or we have to do, but this is not a choice and it's not a feel-good thing.
Mr. Brett, I'd like to add one little thing when we're talking about economic development. We have BMW here. Birmingham, Alabama was trying to get another major automotive manufacturer there. And they could not come because the air quality was so bad. So this is a real situation. It will truly affect each and every one of us. It will affect the number of jobs that we might have. And the one thing I can say about small businesses, if we don't have families that are working, you don't have people that are able to bring in their children to stay in a daycare or anything else like that because they can't afford it. So we're talking about economic development. We're talking about an unfortunate thing that we are having to undergo the test of a regulatory agency. But that's the way it is. And we're local government. We're not big government. We're local. And there is a difference in what we do versus what you see happening on the federal level. But unfortunately, it does trickle down, and we have to abide by certain things as well.
Mr. Chairman.
Jay, let me can I jump ahead? One quick thing, I know you talk longer than I can. And it's not just economic development, it's roads, it's parks and rec. We don't meet these requirements. You don't build extra roads. You don't build homes and subdivisions because you don't meet the attainment or the level. It's everything that goes on. It's like having blood in your body. If you don't meet it, your blood gets sucked out and you die. Thanks.
Well, I'd like to point out a couple of things. This is not an ordinance, it's a resolution. And the resolution will carry county council blessings if we pass it here tonight, and I plan to vote for it. The reason I plan to vote for it is most of the things that David said and James said. Several of us, myself, Dale and James serve on the Appalachian Council of Governments. We've had experts come in and talk to us. And Dale both and Jeff serve on the Department of Transportation study. We've had the experts there come in and talk to us. Part of the problem we have is we get a fair amount through the jet stream, and the mountains kind of block it when the get to it, and it backs up on us of all the smog and pollution that's coming out of Atlanta, Georgia. So if we don't reach out and try to do something here, we're in deep trouble and we will lose jobs. And I have 9 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild, I have 5 children. I got a responsibility to them to try to make sure that they stay in Spartanburg County and that they have good jobs here in Spartanburg County. And we have a responsibility to all of the citizens, all 285,000 of them, that we provide y'all with good jobs. Thank you for what you said.
Any other comments, council? All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? No affirmative, and it passes.